Welcome to the Blooming Wand podcast. I'm Emily O'Neill, evidential psychic medium, intuitive healer, and coach. Here on this podcast, I guide you on a journey of self-reflection using the wisdom of the tarot. As the moon waxes and wanes, so do our own inner tides. And as a way to honor moon cycles and life cycles, on each full and new moon, I pull 3 cards which inspire an intention and affirmation to illuminate your path. Think of them as themes to guide you as you move through coming days. So grab your journals, light a candle, and settle into the present moment. Let's delve into the enchanting archetypes of the tarot, uncovering the magic and messages they hold for all of us. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's dive in. So on September 17th, we have a full moon, and you know the drill. I have a new tarot curated intention and affirmation for us to work with. And this moon cycle, I used my Smith Waite tarot deck, and we pulled the Star, Judgment, and the Knight of Wands. Be sure to have a look at the cards to see what they awaken in you. Let's dive in. So here's our intention. After a stormy period, a self-review is in order. What did you learn? What worked well and what didn't? How can you use challenging times to get to know yourself better? So essentially our intention is, how can we use challenging times to learn about who we are? Might as well learn something, right? Here's our affirmation. My inner light is my guiding light. So let's dive into the archetype of the star. Now, the star symbolizes hope, inspiration, spiritual connection. It often represents a period of healing and renewal. It's an indication that you're on the right path, even if the way forward isn't clear to you. Now, I'd like to point out that the last moon cycle, we pulled the Tower, and in the tarot, the star is the card that immediately follows the Tower. So we've pulled cards sequentially. So it went from the Tower to the star. And to me, this means that we've been through some challenges, and now's the time to consider how we might move forward after taking some time to renew, reflect, and reorient. Drawing the star is a gentle reminder to reconnect with your inner wisdom and seek guidance from a higher power, whatever that higher power is for you. You've weathered a storm, and now is the perfect time to reflect on how your past experiences, your beliefs, and the judgments that you've had over time have shaped your journey so that you can align with your true north. So we've all had past experiences, and we've had beliefs and ideas and judgments, decisions or ideas or frameworks that we've shaped in our minds that also then shaped our journey. When you look back, can you see how some beliefs that you held, some behaviors that you had, or some people perhaps that you were connected with were or were not aligned with your true north or your true nature? So true north is essentially a metaphor for your calling, your inner light, your guiding life, and or guiding light rather, and it's what you want to accomplish with your life. And I think a lot of people immediately associate what they want to accomplish with career or how much money they want to make, and fair enough, I get it. But it can also just be the meaning that you want to hold for yourself in this lifetime. Are you doing the things that make you feel in alignment with who you really are? Do you know who you really are? And I think that this is an interesting thing to ponder. I know that there have been times in my life where I felt like I really knew who I was, and then there have been times when I didn't. And I think those of us that are in midlife, so this really interesting, juicy period in middle age where I think many of us begin to reorient and reconsider what our true north is, and we begin to reevaluate what we want to do with the time that we have here in this body and here on this planet. So it's kind of deep stuff, and I guess that's what the tarot does offer us, is looking at pretty big topics, which is why I like to do these tarot curated insights. And these insights do function as a tool for self-reflection and discovery. They're not meant to be generic community readings. They're meant to be things that get you thinking. So, leaning back into True North, think of it as a combination of your values, your beliefs, and your sense of purpose. I do feel like connecting to our sense of purpose becomes like a guiding light for us, and it helps us know what fills our cup, how we want to spend our time, and so on and so forth. Now, this term wasn't always used in like self-care and spiritual practices. I think, as many of you know, it originates from the literal concept of north on a compass, representing a fixed direction. So true north is a crucial concept in navigation, especially for those who are using a compass or perhaps your inner compass. And unlike magnetic north, which can vary due to the Earth's magnetic field, true north is a fixed point at the geographic North Pole. Why is true north important? Well, when we're navigating, using true north ensures the most precise direction and location. Unlike magnetic north, which can fluctuate over time, true north remains constant. I bet you can see where I'm going with this. Finding your true north is very powerful because when you know what it is, it helps you follow your path, not that of another. And very often, at least from what I've observed, people who are in alignment with their true north seem to live a pretty fulfilling life because they're guided by their own inner light. So, just as true north is a fixed point on a compass, your calling or your sense of purpose can become a fixed point in your life. Now, I'm not saying that our sense of purpose or our calling stays the same. Frankly, I don't think that that's true at all. I think it changes quite frequently, or at least sometimes. And so it's good to check in and see, like, am I in alignment with my sense of purpose? I know for myself, particularly when I was working in the corporate field, I really became aligned with external forces. Some of it was just external forces that were influencing my life and shaping it in ways that helped me to take care of myself financially. But those forces that were shaping around me and I was getting aligned with because it was paying the bills also led me to become more disconnected from the needs and values that I held for myself. And so over time, it's been a process of balancing out my needs that are coming from me and those coming from my circumstances, if that makes sense. So, finding your true north can be a journey of self discovery. And once you've identified it, it can provide a clear sense of direction and motivation. And when I look at this card, I see a central figure kneeling beneath one large star and several smaller ones. They pour water from a pitcher onto the earth, representing nurturing and healing. They also pour a pitcher onto a pool or into a pool, which I believe represents tending to our inner wellspring and vitality. I also see a bird in the background, symbolizing wisdom, intuition, and the ability to see the bigger picture. Now, we're going to shift gears and look at the other major arcana card, the second tarot archetype that we're working with, and that's the Judgment card. And I don't know about you, but everybody hears the word judgment and they think being judged. And I get it. Like, they also think of like the Last Judgment, and there's like biblical implications there, but really what judgment represents is a culmination or final assessment or spiritual awakening. It could signify a significant transformation, a new beginning, or a new stage in life. And I referred to one of my favorite tarot books this moon cycle just to get some deeper insight. I mean, this book is great. And in Maria Minnis's book, Tarot for the Hard Work, she says the key here is to view judging as discernment rather than punitive evaluation. So view your past lovingly and gently. You did the best you could with what you had. Grant yourself an appropriate level of absolution. And now that you know better, do better. When I look at this card, I see a central figure, which is an angel, symbolizing divine judgment and guidance. Surrounding the angel are figures emerging from graves, representing resurrection and a new life. And I've always felt this archetype represents a bridge between the earthly and spiritual realms. And again, the term judgment in this context, or in terms of looking at this tarot archetype, doesn't imply condemnation. Instead, it refers to spiritual evaluation or an assessment of one's life. It's a time to reflect on past actions and learn from mistakes, embracing a new beginning. When the Judgment card appears in a reading, it suggests a significant transformation or spiritual evolution is taking place. It's a call to embrace change, let go of the past, and step into a brighter future. The Knight of Wands, so shifting to our third tarot archetype, which is a court card, and it's the Knight of Wands. Now, this tarot archetype indicates a readiness for this new beginning and an eagerness to get started. It symbolizes action, enthusiasm, a drive for adventure, and it often represents a new project, a journey, so travel, moving, things like that, or a burst of creative energy. Now, the Knight of Wands from the Smith Waite tarot deck is a dynamic and energetic figure, often depicted as a young, fiery knight riding a horse. And the knight represents youthful energy, enthusiasm, and a strong sense of adventure. They can be associated with impulsiveness, passion, and a desire for action. Now, the horse symbolizes power, speed, and drive, and it reflects the knight's energy and determination. The wand that the knight is carrying represents creative energy, inspiration, and willpower. It symbolizes the knight's passion and drive. So the Knight of Wands can represent a burst of enthusiasm, a strong desire to act or take action, the spark of creativity, a love of exploration, a willingness to take risks, and a desire to succeed. Now, when I see the Knight of Wands appearing in a reading, I feel like it suggests a need for action, like new energy infusing things, a new opportunity, but it can also sometimes imply impulsiveness, impatience, or a lack of focus. So if you want to take full advantage of this archetype, it would be a good idea to also lean into the lessons of the star and the judgment archetypes. These three archetypes together mark a time of spiritual and emotional renewal. What the heck is spiritual and emotional renewal? Like, what does that look like? I've thought about that for you, and here's some things that I have come up with. So, spiritual and emotional renewal can manifest in a lot of ways, but some common signs include you've weathered a storm and you're beginning to understand its impact. You are beginning to have an increased sense of peace and well being, or you do have an increased sense of peace and well being. A feeling of inner calm and contentment, a heightened ability to trust your gut and follow your heart, a deeper understanding of your thoughts, feelings, and motivations. And the other thing I wanted to add in here is there's usually an increased sense of compassion and empathy. You may have a greater ability to connect with others and understand their experiences. So that's the compassion and empathy thing. You might have a clearer understanding of your life's goals or direction. You might have a yearning to connect with something greater than yourself. You might feel that you're having stronger connections with loved ones and a greater sense of belonging. You might have a surge of inspiration and a desire to express yourself creatively. So creativity is a component of it. Or expression of one's self through whatever means you feel called to do so. And these are just some things that I came up with. It's certainly not an exhaustive list, but I do feel like when I think about my life, when I have experienced spiritual and emotional renewal, I have to say, a lot of times it did come after experiencing some challenge or difficulty. And I'm not saying I haven't experienced spiritual or emotional renewal at any time or in the middle of challenging times. I do believe that I have, but when I really feel into it, I feel like I found it organically and naturally after a period where I was confused, challenged, felt astray, in that weird sacred middle space where you kind of maybe don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you want. And then you sit with that confusion and eventually you kind of come out the other side and you have this strange clarity. So that would be something that I would consider if you're wondering if you're having a time of spiritual and emotional renewal. We move so fast in this world today, and I think that taking some time to reflect on these concepts can be super helpful for just our general self-care and awareness of what's going on within and around us, which to me is the foundation of a strong spiritual practice and why I do this podcast and post it on YouTube is, to provide people with resources and to demonstrate ways that we can use tools like the tarot to prompt self-evaluation and discovery. Now, spiritual and emotional renewal is a personal journey, and the signs may vary from person to person. So think about what it means to you, or think about how you've observed it in others. The most important thing is to pay attention to your own experiences and to notice positive shifts in overall awareness. Now, I have 6 journal prompts because I love journaling, that it's just, to me, a great way to sink into thinking about things. So I have 6 journal prompts for spiritual and emotional renewal. The first one is just look back at your journey so far. What were the most significant moments of growth, challenge, and triumph? So look at them all. Look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. What were those significant moments? What did they look like? And take some time to write them down. How have these experiences shaped your spiritual and emotional well-being? And this is where I was talking about how when I looked back at my life, I could see that these core memories or key moments often yielded some kind of clarity or wisdom. I'd be really curious to know if that did the same thing for you. The second prompt is take some time listing what you're grateful for, both big and small. How does gratitude affect your mood and overall outlook on life? And so gratitude and gratitude journaling has become pretty popular. And I think there's some evidence that doing gratitude journaling or thinking about what you're grateful for can make you feel better. And so we do have that as a prompt here. The third prompt is close your eyes and imagine your ideal self. What qualities does this version of you possess? What kind of life are they living? And how can you work towards embodying this ideal? So, whenever I use the word ideal, I tend to immediately go, whoa, kind of cringe, because I think of external influences that have impacted how I have felt about what is ideal in a person, and that can include looks, how much money somebody makes, job, this, that, and the other. I mean, we consume a lot of content through social media, literature, magazines, imagery, movies, and that can influence what we think of as being, quote, ideal. And so I'm just offering that we be conscientious about what is influencing our sense of purpose and what we feel like our ideal self looks like or is. And are we cultivating this from our inner wellspring or through external influences, or perhaps a little bit of both? And I wouldn't say that anything is right or wrong. I don't find that to be a helpful way of looking at things, but you can see how external influences shape the way we view ourselves and our potential future self. So just make sure you know or can tell what your sense of purpose, your values and desires that you're connecting with in terms of visualizing your ideal self, that they're coming from you and what you want for yourself. And that might take a little bit of time. So give it all the time that it needs. Number 5, what are your core values? How do these values align with your current actions and goals? And are there areas where you feel disconnected? So values change over time. And as I've mentioned, those of us in our sort of midlife I think a lot of us are finding out some values that we held when we were younger have shifted. So it's good to understand what your core values are. Sometimes core values don't shift all that much, but other values might. So, do you feel connected with your core values? Do you know what your values are? Are your actions aligning with these things? This is a great way to understand you, your thoughts, your ideas, and your behavior, and perhaps the situation that you're in. The sixth and final journal prompt is pretty simple. What are your intentions for the future? What steps can you take today to bring these intentions to life, and how can you stay focused and motivated? So, when we're talking about our intentions for the future, you know, some people are very ambitious and it's like, I'm going to have this job and make this money and have this house, and they really align with sort of those types of things. Some of us are just trying to survive. We're trying to make enough money to make ends meet, to be able to take care of ourselves and our loved ones. Fair enough. We're all going to be at a different point on this spectrum of experience. And for some of us, the intentions that we hold for the future are simply safety and security and having our basic needs met. And those are the things that those are the intentions that we hold for the future. Others, it's perhaps to incorporate more creativity into our lives, to be more open and honest with others. Maybe we want to make more time to do projects for ourselves that we're interested just because we want to do them, not because they need to make money or need to be attached to any specific outcome. Maybe an intention that we hold for our future is to simply spend more time in nature, to move more slowly, and to listen more deeply to our heart. So take a step back, take all the time you need, and begin to consider what are the intentions that you hold for yourself and how may they manifest in the future. Now let's take a quick second to loop back to our intention and affirmation, which is this. Here's our intention. How can we use challenging times to get to know ourselves better? And here's our affirmation, and I think it's a good one. My inner light is my guiding light. So I always like to ask at the end of every podcast, how's it going in your world? Are you experiencing a period of spiritual and emotional renewal? What's that been like for you? I would love for you to share that. You can do so by emailing me at Emily at bloomingwand.com. You can leave a comment if you're watching this on the Blooming Wand YouTube channel. And don't forget to find the Blooming Wand podcast on all the usual streaming platforms. Be sure to like and subscribe. Same with the Blooming Wand YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I particularly like kind of presenting this on YouTube because I can see all of your comments right under there. It's a little bit more interactive, which I think is really cool. Well, that concludes our full moon intention and affirmation. Take good care of yourselves, get those journals out, and I'll see you on the new moon.